This is what's going on in my mind. Freaking goodness. It was horrible. Her and her ex were fighting. They are in survival mode. He ceases to amaze me. This man responds to me. Hi, everybody. This is End Times Narc Nation. I'm Angela Michelle. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about coping with the ideal or the understanding that narcissists do not have. I'm struggling with this, wrapping my mind around, trying not to take the things that he does personally. That may sound difficult because it is personal. I was listening to the Little Shaman, and she discussed that, and it helped me a lot. Taking it personal is kind of an obstacle because it's not meant, the things they do aren't necessarily meant to hurt you. The reason why they do these things is to put themselves in a better position. Someone has to be beneath them. They have to hurt others to make themselves feel better. When you try to look at it from that angle, although it's still strange because these acts are directed at you, it's not personal. And when I try to look at it in that aspect, that it would be anyone, whoever was in this position, is getting ready to happen to the new supply, or it's happening to the new supply. When I look at it from that angle, that feeling that wants to come up in me sometime to hate the narcissist, it kind of gives me strength. And because right now, the situation that I'm going through with my narcissist, I would very much look at it as this man is a true sadist. I mean, that's how I feel. But as the Little Shaman was pointing out, in order to be a sadist, then you're trying to hurt that person for the sake of hurting them. But that's not what the narcissist's goal is. They are in survival mode. And with them being in this survival mode, they're trying to save their own lives because they're in this crisis mode at all times. They're in survival mode at all times. And because although the situation was caused because he didn't want to work out our marriage in a healthy way, I became his enemy or his opponent. And so now he has to try to beat me or go into opposition with me. So it becomes this fight, this battle. And now what's happening is when we did meet to try to mediate the issues before we ended up taking it to court. And as I told you guys before, that went horribly. It did not work. I found out that we have 2 storage houses where we store most of the marital assets, the physical things like, the furniture, the silverware, the paintings, the rugs, the tools that we were using to, complete the house, all of the physical assets. I found out a couple days ago that this man, he was going out to the property, going into the storage houses and taking all of the expensive tools out. Although he knows that we were supposed to get together, meet, and split everything 50-50 and negotiate, and just keep going down until all of the items were decided. This man has been going and taking, we had several drills, expensive drills, and the chargers, saws, I don't know what you call them, but expensive tools. This man has been taking them, and bar stool, all kinds of stuff, and hoarding them somewhere else off of the property. But when I realized this, I was like, oh my God, this man has been taking stuff from the storage house. So I text him, and I try to be as politically correct as I could, because I wanted to see where he was coming from and why he took them. So I said something to the effect of, hey, I noticed that you've taken a lot of equipment and tools and furniture. I said, I'm not sure why you would do that, considering the fact that you're staying with your stepdad. So with that being said, I hope that you are, when you get finished with it, that you bring it back, and next time, inform me if you're going to be taking things, just so I know and I can keep an account of it, or something to that effect. This man responds to me, I took them. I wanted to. Don't threaten me. And then he says, I'm still waiting on you to file and get served. Only text about our son. Follow your own rules. I'm shocked when he sends this, because where did I threaten him? So I text him back and I say, question mark, where is the threat? I was just asking about the tools. He says, only text about our son, your words. And it is true. I guess I caused an injury because, I'm trying to I'm letting him know, look, I want minimal contact. We're only supposed to be discussing our son. But, like I said in the text, if I had known that you were going to be stealing our marital assets, I would have put that in there too. But he stops responding at that point to kind of show me a lesson, I guess, or teach me a lesson. And I'm just like in shock, because it's like, I can't believe every time when I try to think, well, this is something that he wouldn't do, and I've said this before, he ceases to amaze me of how low he'll go. One of the biggest issues that I'm dealing with, and, just trying to cope with it as far as the kids are concerned. Cause, like I said in another video, I love the kids. I love my stepchildren. I'm very concerned for them, and just the lack of empathy with all the things that these children have been through. It's amazing to me how sometimes I feel that, or I know that he just doesn't get it, that he has to be there for them. I want to be there for them, and I just don't have the access that I did before. And I'm trying to figure out a way to, kind of work things out, because I know that if I act too quickly, he's going to look at that as something that, because what I was hoping for is that it would be something in his favor. And because if I try to use the children, or if I act like, I want to see them, and I want you to, if I act real emotional about it, then he would use it against me and probably prevent me from seeing this. I'm seeing them. And so I've been really careful about how I present that to him. But what's going on now is that my stepdaughter, she's 14. She asked, could she stay the night? And so I said, yeah, sure. Any time. And so she asked her dad, can she stay with me? And immediately he texted back and he's like, hey, did you say that she could stay the night? And I'm like, yeah. He says, okay, I'll be over there in 15 minutes. And he says, well, make it 20. And so I said, okay, that's fine. And so he brings her over, and, it was nice to, see her. We talk and we hang out, and I went to bed a little bit later, and I didn't know this at the time, but her and my daughter were having their own little personal talk that evening. I guess they stayed up late because I went to bed. And so the next day, I get a text from him asking what time did I want him to come pick her up. And I basically said, just whenever you're ready. And so immediately she gets this kind of a sad look on her face. And so I tell her, let's go outside and talk. So we go outside and we're talking, and she tells me that, that she's not that happy right now. She said that she was kind of sad because, her dad came home, he's coming home drunk, kind of often, and he's not really spending a lot of time at home. So she tells me that they're all staying at his cousins, and he is staying at his stepdad's, of which I still think that that's strange. It didn't really make sense to me at first. I didn't get why he would be, but she says, I have something to tell you. And she says, well, about a week or two ago, I needed some shoes or something. I forgot what the item was. And so I needed to go to my mom's to, get this item. And so she got one of her cousins to drive her over there. Now keep in mind, she's 4. And so she says when she pulls up at her mom's, now keep in mind, they're supposed to be at the cousin's house, all the kids. She says when she pulled up, she says, Daddy was there. Him and my mommy were sitting out on the back of his car talking. And when I pulled up and got out of the car, she says, Daddy got up. And so I was like thinking in my head, oh my God. Now, I have to give you some backstory on her mom. I've mentioned her, I think, once in a video. We'll call her Fall for the sake of, I don't want to call her the other narc, but she is highly, in my opinion, very much so an overt narcissist. And I've said that before. She has no care or consideration for other people whatsoever. She can be nice. She can be funny. She can have a very good personality at times. But when this girl wants something, she can be vicious and have zero. And when I say zero empathy, it's like it, not only does it not matter, but the fact that you mention how it feels offends. And so, very promiscuous. And it's always been this way. I mean, if you want to call someone a Facebook sensation, he would be the person, because, and this is why I'm so shocked. When she told me this, I was trying to maintain, this calm face, but in my mind, I was like, oh my freaking goodness. Are you kidding me? Anybody but her. Are you kidding? This is what's going on in my mind. But I kept my composure. And so she says, yeah, they were sitting real close on the back of the, like almost touching, or I think they were touching. Their bodies were, side by side. And so, she says when she pulled up, her dad got up as if, I didn't get out of the car. That's what I took from what and so going back to the person that she is, when I say a Facebook sensation, we're talking about an overt narcissist that befriended a girl that went to school with my ex-narc husband. And she befriended her, and while she was being friends with her, she was sleeping with her child's father, her live-in child father. Meanwhile, she was acting as if they were friends. On her days, she would be allowing the girls to stay the night at the friend's house. Now, as I told you guys before, we didn't allow staying the night. But when she would have the girls, she would allow them to stay over this friend's. She was sleeping with her boyfriend's man, and of which she had children. So when the girl found out, I'll call her Tina. When Tina found out, she kept posting them on Facebook saying this whore was sleeping with my baby's father, spreading disease far and wide. And what was happening is Fall, she was seeing these things, and of course she was reporting it to Facebook. And as fast as Facebook will pull these things down, she was posting them over again. It was horrible and hilarious at the same time, just in the aspect of she was not holding back, and I'm not doing it justice. The things and the words that this girl was calling her, I mean, I can't repeat them. But I will say this, it had well, no, I won't say that. Just very vulgar, vulgar. And Fall tried to defend herself, but there was no defense, because when she tried to clap back, what the girl did at that point is proceeded to post screenshots of text messages between Fall and one of the guys that she was in this sex ring. And now keep in mind, this is an overt narcissist. So the girl posts these text messages basically saying, well, I was sleeping with a couple of guys, and one of them contracted a disease or thinks he contracted a disease. So I'm telling you that you need to go get yourself checked, because I just went and got myself checked today and I'm waiting on my results. So because I cared, I wanted to reach out to you and let you know. So this guy goes off on her and he tells her that she's messing up I won't use the word that he used, but I'll call it a sex ring or sex triangle that they had, where basically they would go around, she and the guys, they would have orgies, threesomes, even with people's husbands, it didn't matter. And he was basically mad at her because I guess she kept contracting things and she was causing a problem. So it was being more than just the sex. So she posted this on Facebook, and basically all that Fall did, because she couldn't clap back at something like that. You're looking at it in, I would say, black and white, but it was colored, different colors. But at that point, what the overt narcissist did, she just deactivated her Facebook page for a while. She fled the scene because there was nothing she could do. I mean, she was exposed. It was all over our county. She was basically the laughing stock. And then the kids, they, at this time when they were staying with their mom, her and her ex were fighting a lot, to the point where the kids started to feel, I wouldn't say unsafe, because there was nothing happening to them, but as a couple, they would be fighting. The overt narcissist, and her husband started to get in physical altercations. And so the kids started to record them because they wanted us to see. They came home one day and my stepson, he says, well, Angie, I want you to hear how they act, because they're really starting to fight crazy, like breaking stuff and, acting crazy. So I was like, oh, you recorded them? Well, let me. And so we pressed play, and literally it's very graphic and horrible. It starts off by basically he accusing her of, or he's angry because he's found out that she slept with so many men over the years, or he knew, I'm sorry. He says he's tired of it. He told her that she needs to get off of, I think you call it Adderall, because she has ADHD. And he told her she needs to get off of the Adderall and get herself some counseling, because he says you have a sex problem. You're addicted to sex and you need to get yourself checked. Now, what he doesn't understand, he's just a narcissist. He hasn't studied that like I have, but he's just dealing with what he sees. And so he tells her that she needs to get counseling because she can't control herself. And especially in his opinion, it had more to do with her taking the Adderall, because I guess she gets very promiscuous when she's on the medicine, but that's not what it's just a narcissist. And so they were going back and forth, and he starts just riding out, talking about you. He says, you've given me a whole bunch of diseases. I've had to get myself checked. He said, and now I'm going to have to get myself checked again because now you're a Facebook sensation. And he says that on the tape that you're going to, he said you don't care about your kids. He calls her a part-time mom. And he says that he wants her to leave. He just wants her to leave. And she's like, I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. We're married. And so they're going back and forth. And what gets me about the issue with her and my narcissist, a woman that he couldn't even stand. Why would his child pull up And she even knows their relationship well enough to know that that wouldn't be for those two to be sitting, on the back of a car chit-chatting. Well, none of the kids were there. So why would he need to be at her house, at her apartment complex, sitting on the back of his car, chatting? Now, I don't know for sure if they're having sex, but I will say this. The first day that she found out that we were broken up, she found out by me. I was trying to secure a place to drop off my stepdaughter because he called me. This was the first or second night we broke up when he moved out. He asked me would I pick her up, the oldest, the 14-year-old daughter, from school because she got suspended, acting out because of the situation. And he calls me and asks me will I pick her up, and so I say okay. And so when I went to call him back, he wouldn't answer the phone. So I reach out to the the mom, Fall, and I say, hey, Fall, by text. I say, and I have broken up, and he's not answering the phone. So I needed to know, where do I need to drop her off? Oh, what happened? And so I didn't go into detail, but I just made it very vague. I said, we're XYZ. So she's like, oh, well, if you like, you can bring her by the house. That's fine. And so about 10 minutes later, I get a text message from my ex-narc. Why did you tell Fall about us breaking up? Like, why would you tell her? I said, well, I just reached out to her to find out where to bring your daughter because she's the other parent. I didn't tell her to just tell her our business. So I sent a screenshot to Fall showing her that my ex-narc had a problem with me texting, with me telling her this. So I guess she got kind of convicted in that moment, and she said, oh, I'm sorry. I probably should have said anything. I just asked him how he was doing. Was he okay? She didn't ask me. These two have been at each other's throats the 13 years that we've been together. They've hated each other every day. There were a few times that they got along for the most part, but for the most part, they were oil and water. But now, within moments, she can text him, I'm still waiting for my am I okay? This is the same woman that I picked up the kids for her on her days every day. For 6 years, I picked up the kids for her every day on her day and brought them to her house because she worked in the morning. She had to go to work early. I did that, and I dropped the kids off for her every day. I got a couple of thank you when she was broke. Give her money, because she told me one time all she had in the cupboard was a pack of ramen noodles. She hugged me. She was so thankful that day. And all this stuff is running through my mind as my stepdaughter is sitting here telling me this, and she looks sad. And she was like, well, I don't understand what's going on. It's like, why would daddy be out there talking to mommy? That's what she said. And I'm sitting up there looking at her, and I want to see how much more she's going to say. And I said, well, how did that make you feel? She said, well, I don't know, but I don't like it because daddy know mommy not a good person. And I wanted to say so bad, your dad's not either. But I couldn't say that, because when the children talk like that, I have to allow them to give their own conclusions, because their dad has kind of been he's been their good parent, and she was always the bad parent because she's a very overt narcissist. She only cares about herself. And this is just another layer of how, if he is sleeping, because I know he has another supply, because she's never going to be, she's never, and not that I care, I do in a way, because, that's just my feelings, but she's never going to be his wife. She's never going to be the woman on his arms. And that's because he's such a narcissist, and he cares so much about what people think. he would never make her the woman, the little woman at home, but she could sure be the little chick at 12 o'clock at night. But my point for saying that is, but why, if this is true, he would have sex with the woman that he knows has STDs? Knows is extremely, disgustingly promiscuous. Knows that, and heard it with his own 2 ears. In more ways than one, by text messages, by video. He's seen it for himself. And she even cheated on him when they were together. Now, would he run to her and just for a source of supply, have sex with a disease-infected baby mama? The answer is yes, he would. But that's what we have to understand about narcissists. The fact that they have no empathy, the fact that all that matters is protecting their false self. They don't have a sense of true right and wrong. They don't have convictions like we do. And because of that, they can do things that we wouldn't even or couldn't even imagine, because we have that empathetic, thought process. There are limits, there are things that we just would not do. But when a narcissist needs supply, and if they're running low, yes, they will do things. Now, did he do it? But is he capable of doing it? After learning what I learned about narcissism, I don't, nor would I be any more shocked than I already was when she told me that. Because, the proof is kind of in the pudding. The way he's, I know he has a bigger supply, but I just, nothing seems to really amaze me, because I'm walking around here and I try to, I'm praying because I want to, I don't want to hate. Yeah, I don't. It takes too much energy to hate another person. And I would rather be able to forgive him based on the fact that this isn't personal. I'd rather be able to forgive him and just know that we can't be together. I don't want to be with him, and know that is the best thing for my life. That's what's going to make my life better, is moving on and moving forward and living well. I don't even want revenge. That's where I am, right? Because I am getting to the point where I almost pity, and them, even her. Fall is, that's really a tragedy. The fact that, that she could have zero self-esteem, and that the only thing that gives her temporary joy and pleasure is just by having meaningless sex with any man. And it's sad, and I just thank God that I was blessed with it. We take it for granted, and but I can say this, I'm sure as heck happy that I'm not a covert or an overt narcissist, because I could not imagine living that way, where I can't sense when another person is hurting, or that I care, because I care deeply. And to me, they've lost so much just because of that. The fact that they can experience, and I've heard that some of them do have a form of empathy, but it's not enough to kind of compensate for their behavior. It's not enough to override, that need for supply. So they're going to do what they're going to do. And what I want you to take away from this is that in this struggle of, and in this journey, learning about narcissism and understanding the fact that because they don't have empathy, use that as your stepping stone to not give them a second chance. Because it doesn't matter what they say in the heat of the moment when they're hurting and you're seeing that inner child, express how hurt and lost they are without you. Because they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear, when they're stripped down. just know that no matter how bad it makes you feel, no matter how sad you feel for them, because those feelings are real. I mean, they aren't lying to you when they're begging and pleading you with tears to take them back. That's real. But just know that it won't last. But the minute they go back to forgetting about the fact that you helped them or that it didn't even matter in the first place, but once they overcome whatever that little issue was, they're going to go right back into devaluing you. They're going to go right back into disrespecting you, lying, cheating on whatever it was. It's not going to last. I can't tell you how many times my ex-narc said he wanted to work on the relationship. I remember one time he texted me from the bathroom because I was so hurt because we were fighting so much about stupid things and I just couldn't understand. And I was like, look, what do you want to do? I mean, it's like our relationship is just going downhill fast. This man texts me, we're going to work on our relationship. Okay. And then he texts me about 2 minutes later, tell our son, I started to say his name, tell our son to bring me some toilet paper. And that was the last thing I heard about us working on our relationship. He never brought it up again because it wasn't important to him. It's not his goal. That was about a month before we broke up. I don't know, you guys. I mean, take care of yourselves. We got to fight the good fight. And how we fight the good fight is working on ourselves. We got to give this stuff to God. Let him fight our battles for us. Let's not walk around with hate. If you have children, respond to the narcissist as you need to, but work on yourselves to stay no contact, build your lives. So I'm going to go ahead and end this today. I mean, I know it was a little choppy. I feel like I was kind of all over the place, but I had some things that I just wanted to say because it really helped me. It really, and I want to give you guys a little boost to understand the fact that it's not personal. They don't have empathy. So they can't even fathom. They can't even think the way that we think. You're doing this to me. Yeah, but it's not about you. It's really about them. So I think if we look at it for what it was, it's a disorder. Then at least that way it doesn't turn into hatred. And that helped me. So you guys, like I said, take care of yourselves. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. This is End Time Narc Nation. I'm Angela Michelle. See you.